Thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies. And this is The Birth of the Moon by Mikael, F.R.C, A.F.R.A.S. An article from Rosicrucian Digest, Volume 28, Number 3, April 1950. The Birth of the Moon by Mikael, F.R.C, A.F.R.A.S. The author is a prominent astronomer and the director of one of the largest astronomical observatories in Europe. He is, as well, a Rosicrucian of long standing. The name herein given is his pen name. Immediately prior to 1945, Alfven, the Swedish astronomer, published the results of his exhaustive researches into the origin of planets, planetoids, and satellites. His considerations, embodying formulas of celestial mechanics as well as those of chemistry and physics, made a clearer explanation of the structure and mechanics of the solar system than any before given. Briefly and untechnically, the story of the origins begins more than 2 billion years ago, when the pre-sun, much larger than our present body, moved majestically in stellar space. For 10 galactic years it shone in solitary splendor. Then it moved into a cloud of gases and cosmic dust. Particles of dust were pulled towards the sun by gravitation, but upon entering its electromagnetic field, they were respectively repelled by the pressure of light. Thus, the particles were stopped at a certain distance from the sun, where gas began to accumulate. The gas particles, according to their relative weights, were stopped at varying distances from the sun, where they began a series of collisions and motions, induced by the forces of the sun and their own reactions to each other. Out of the central portion of this cloud were formed Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, and Jupiter. These having been called the first planetary family. The front part of the cloud, which met the pre-sun first and was composed of cosmic dust, was responsible for the formation of the 2 older planets, Mars and Luna, together with the Earth, Venus, and Mercury, formed of the back part of the cloud of cosmic dust, and Mars and Luna constitute the second planetary family. These 2 families were distinguished by their characteristics. Those marking up the first family were gaseous, while those of the second were formed of cosmic dust. The density of the first is also less than that of the second. In the second group, Luna, having many properties in common with Venus and Mars, circles the sun between them. At one point in this circling process, as yet not sufficiently explained, Luna approached so near the Earth that it was attached to it and formed with it what might almost be called a double planet. Luna, or Moon, thus becomes a satellite of the Earth, although retaining certain peculiar traits, among them that of having an orbit not convex to the Sun as any true satellite should have, the numerous craters and odd surface formations on the Moon. Alfven considers reminiscent of the birth of the Earth. Difficult as the question of the Earth's capture of Luna may be to answer, from the standpoint of modern astrology, it is interesting to note how close the ancients came to the answer. The Greek myths state that Uranus, or heaven, first rose out of chaos, and that Cronus, or Saturn, came from him, and that from Cronus was born Zeus, or Jupiter. The sequence corresponds to that of the members of gaseous family number 1, born out of chaos. Myths and legends, we are beginning to see, are not the outcome of fantasy. They are narrations of long past real events, reflected in the prisms of centuries until they are colored by unrealistic light. Today's science will recreate, fix the chronology, and explain the problem of the pre-Solonite, those who lived before the appearance of the moon. Greek writers, as well as Plutarch and St. Augustine, however, have already written their accounts of them. In the tradition of the Hermeticists, too, the moon is declared to be older than the Earth and generally unconnected with it. They state as the planet Luna, it moved in an elliptical orbit around the sun until it approached so near the Earth that it was captured by it. This marriage of the earth and the moon took place, they say, about 9,500 BC, or at the time of the submergence of Poseidon. Thus it is seen the mathematics of modern science, exemplified in the painstaking research of H.R.A.S, support in many particulars the views and traditions of the ancient Hermeticists. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.